Welcome to Reality After Show coverage of the Challenge All Stars 5 Rivals. We're back again this week talking episode 4. I'm your host, Dan Montchal, joined as always, Alex Trias, Paulie Calafiore. And of course, we have a lot of thoughts on this episode, but I just want to point out, I think we're 3-4 weeks away at our current pace from the answer being the question of who has the most consecutive elimination wins, being our boy Handjob Steve. By the end of the season, it could be the possible answer.
Yeah. It's competing with only Wes at this point?
And
Wes and Casey?
Laurel
yeah.
won her first 9. Yeah.
Okay. All right. But what was the most won in a season? Was it 5? Like, did Horacio
5.
tie?
Yes, 5's the record.
They're 2 wins away from tying the all-time single season record.
I mean, and given how this season's going, we can almost expect that the next 2 episodes we'll see Adam Steve down there, unless people decide that they're tired of doing the same old shit.
Yep. Or if they actually win a daily, which they
it's sort of hard when only 3 teams are showing to be competitive in dailies through 3 episodes. You know.
What happened? What happened to the days where like majority of the teams could actually do decent in the daily challenges? You know what I mean? Like it was getting kind of embarrassing seeing the amount of teams where it's like, oh, my partner can't throw me far enough to get the rings. Oh, I'm throwing my partner far enough to get the rings, but they can't grab the rings. Yeah. And
it's one of those things where, like, sure, I understand for some of the teams because they just don't communicate in that way, but I'm like, there's enough teams there that can do well. Like, they weren't going to do as well as Fessy and Amber because, like, these are sort of made for them, where you have a giant, strong guy throwing a light, long girl to go grab things that are far away. And it's like, but like Turbo and Nani should have been able to do well at this. Corey and Big T, like their makeup, they should have done well in this.
But Ashley and Dario.
But I think
Big
T gives the answer in the confessional, where like Corey's actually of the mindset of like, I think this is a good time for us to try to win, get a star. Because, and I think he's right, where if they went in somehow against whoever and they were able to win their start, I don't think they're the team getting looked at to go in. I think everyone's looking at them as, oh, this is a team that we can drag to the final. That's the layup team that we can have in there.
I don't want to hear people like, you can tell when there's people who say shit like that just so that they can try and get street cred from the fans to be like, oh, look, this person wants to go into elimination. If that were the case, then wouldn't you be trying to sway the votes in the House any other way but everybody being Adam and Steve? Like, wouldn't you even just throw your votes in different directions, like during the nomination ceremonies, just to piss people off? I don't know.
Well, no, I agree with you in that sense. I think it's the issue of how this season is made, where I also think a lot of these people want to have that like type of sway of like, oh, well, if I can just win, I can go down, I can see what the challenge is or the elimination is, and then I can put myself in thinking that we have a chance to win instead of just being the house vote going in like quote unquote blind. Like, you have full control when you're the winner of the daily. Like, but I do think if you're the winner of the daily, that you should be making a move to secure your spot. Like, if I'm Fessy and Amber, I understand the moves that they make these 2 episodes. I understand why they are throwing weaker teams. But I can see the other point of, if I'm Fessy and Amber, don't I want to try to sway to try to put, like, I don't know, like an Ashley and Dario in, or like someone else that, like, I can go in, go grab my star. And if it's something that they can be, like, so super dominant in, it'd be like, we're dominant in elimination, we're dominant in the dailies. Are you really going to try to fuck with us? And you could just ride it.
That's what I don't understand, for the simple fact of, okay, you know, because this is the second time Fessy and Amber, they threw in the weaker team, which I get it. They're trying to survive. And maybe for them, it's the point of, we're not afraid of anyone. which sure, but with most of these teams here, they keep getting rid of the weak teams. You realize to get your star, you're going to have to go beat a star holder. And for about half the teams that are out there that without a star, which team are they beating?
Look,
because most of them don't have a shot at beating any of the star holders.
And you want to know what's crazy is it's like I'm all for like if you want to throw in the weak teams, but they've all three weak teams that have gotten thrown in so far, all of them have had zero political sway. So like not only did you throw in somebody that was weak, but you threw in somebody with zero political sway, as opposed to, you know, Adam was very aware that like Frank was the one calling his name. He asked for Frank the first go round, the second go round, right?
Yeah. And then this go round, he's like,
this go round, he's like Devin and Leroy, right? But I think that was him trying to take like a big swing, you know, seeing the writing on the wall that they're going to get voted down numerous times. But it's like there's people who are actually trying to play the political game. Veronica being one of them, Frank being another one of them. If I was Fessy and Devin and Leroy, at this point, both of those teams would have gotten thrown in because odds are they would have both lost, and that would have immediately stopped the whole, hey, we need to rally the troops of the weak teams against the strong teams, because that's who's leading the charge on that, Frank and Veronica.
And the other thing of like who you're of the weak teams that you're throwing in, it's like you're too like, especially for Fessel, because I think I'm gonna highlight him more in this podcast because I'm like, we have come to a point now where he's been on enough challenges where you see the pattern. He thinks he's in the best position because he can win dailies, but dailies don't necessarily mean the final. Because like he has gone to the final, being in this same exact mindset throughout his entire challenge career of like, just get to the end. Does not matter who's next to me. It can be the legends. It could be layups. I'm going to win. And then comes in last in the final. Comes in last in the final. Gets DQ'd from a season. Gets eliminated in the first part of the final. It's like he has never actually even gotten second in the final. So, and the people that he's protecting are people who, sort of similar to Anissa, screw him over at the end. Like, he was talking about how his excuse for throwing Anissa was, I hold a grudge because she one time with Jordan voted me in. Well, the round that he got sent home was when Devin voted him in. It's like, so just like say, I'm in this big alliance with the power players, so this is what I'm doing. Because the very last episode, he was saying, I want to work closely with Ashley and Anissa. And we get zero context in this episode outside of I hold a grudge.
I'm trying to think, who is Devin and Leroy like attached to politically? You know,
I think in a way that it's like it's just one of those things where like they're just interweaved through everything. And it's like they're like Leroy and Nani are obviously tight for life because Real World. They're on the same Real World season. They've done the challenge throughout, like hand in hand with each other. Devin just like has like Nicole, like Nicole and Melissa. He has like played a season with Veronica. He has done like a season here with someone else. And it's like he's one of those guys who just like, I will make deals with you. I will make these transactional deals with you. And then everyone just goes home and be like, okay, yeah, Devin's gonna be true to his word. But it's like he's doing it to everyone.
Yeah.
Well, because Devin's probably the person who probably has like the biggest, you know, spider web of who's all entangled of who he's played seasons with. I mean, it's either him or probably Anissa, but she's done a billion. But I think of the relevant people, Devin probably has the better relationships with majority of the power players outside of an Adam and Steve.
And as much as it's like a target of being in a guy pair, as opposed to Anissa, Devin has the strength of being like, well, we have the capability of winning dailies. We have shown we can win dailies, and we didn't throw you in. Like, we kept you all safe the last time we won, so why wouldn't we keep you safe again? So don't target us. It's just interesting. But it's like, I'm like, at a certain point, I'm like, I feel like he would get tired of playing the same game Because like the definition of insanity, you're doing the same thing over and over again, expecting a different result. And he's like, well, in his head, he's probably like, well, the one difference this time is I can't throw Amber away to someone else so that they can win the final at the end. So I'm going to just walk in here, and Amber's a great runner. So it's a lock.
I mean, the only difference in here is that it's all-stars and that Fessy and Amber would be a good team on a flagship season. On all-stars, They should be a lock top 2 at worst.
You would think. Like, if you were just basing it off of these 4 episodes, you would say the chalk favorite to win the season, as long as they can get a star, would be Fessy and Amber with how they're performing. But the other issue is Fessel's probably winning all these thinking, well, I'm just waiting till there's a hall brawl down there, and then I'll put myself in. And I got news for you, buddy. That ain't happening.
There's just a hall brawl just waiting to happen.
It's
here
just
on
waiting.
All Stars.
Wait till All Stars 6. Maybe it'll finally show up, and they'll give you some like pillows and a bunch of padding to make sure that everyone's safe in it.
We don't need that. We'll have OGs breaking hips. Like, it really, truly will put some of the OGs in their grave. Like, we don't need all.
Well, that would give some exciting TV.
It would give something.
Look,
except
exactly.
the editors would edit it in a weird way where it go to a black screen and it's
yeah, because like the editing's just weird. Like, we were talking about this a little before we went live, and it's like they do some things that are a little cutesy, a little fun in the episode, but like the overall, like the storytelling, it just isn't hitting. It's like it's almost as if it's missing entirely from the season. It's just this as a product has been probably the worst edited All-Star season to date, which shouldn't be the case, where you should be improving upon each season.
I understand the vibe that they're trying to go for on All Stars with. It's fun, it's All Stars. But I don't think that, I don't know. Like I'm at a loss watching this season, because I think that there's a way to just make it vibey by just making it funny while still making everything else intense. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, fights can happen and they should happen. But the commentary on the fights could be hilarious. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Whereas, but I don't really understand, because my whole thing was All Stars was just supposed to be old people. Flagship was just supposed to be young people. Now you're intertwining old people and young people. So how are you supposed to like edit this in like that old school, like vibey way?
Right.
Well, the only person that actually understands the drama portion is because he's the fucking star of this show is Steve when it comes to the 80s prom party. Of like, screw those guys. Like,
dude has fucking pads on his legs. Like, he's trying to do some therapy, right? And massaging right there. Cause he's just like, y'all motherfuckers are about to throw me back in. Why am I going to pretend the party 80s style? It's
dude,
like,
Steve is carrying the show, if we're being honest.
It's just
like, if we're being 100% honest, Steve is carrying the entire show.
I think it's just because I enjoy his humor. I enjoy how it just comes across so deadpan, but it's just like, I receive it well. He's just, to me, rootable because he's just always been in this underdog position. But, and maybe that's what it is. It's like, you have all these people that were like rising stars in the challenge, and one of the things that made them so rootable was like, they've constantly had their back against the wall because maybe they weren't the best politically or socially, but when it came down to like showing out when they needed to, they do it. And like Steve has shown last season and this season that like, put me in the sand. This isn't All Stars 2 when I just came in being like, oh, I'm the hand model guy. Now he's like, no, I'm training. Like, I'm doing stuff to get ready so that all the times that you guys throw me in, I'm more likely to stay now.
The only thing that I've been thinking about is winning since.
Yeah, I've only been thinking about messing up when I gave out my stars.
I fucking love that. And I respect OGs like that. Hence why I don't fucking respect people like Veronica, who would never in a million years, let alone get close to winning something nowadays. But even if she did, she would never be like, oh, that's all I've been thinking about since All-Stars 4 into All-Stars 5 is how I want to come back and win this season. She'd be like, just going to go on vacation again and drink more wine. Like, it's, I don't know. Like,
right. It's like,
I mean, you look at both of them right there, and that's Steve's motivation. And why Steve's so fucking rootable is because he's authentic. He's himself. Where that's supposed to be the thing with the OGs is, they bring, their authentic version for entertainment. It's like, you can't tell me that's what Veronica's doing when she goes into confession after confessional of trying to spin this as if she's a political mastermind and not just a layup.
Exactly. And like, I want to see OGs come back, and I want to, like, when they go on screen, I want to sit there and be like, oh, they aged well. They still look good. Like, and I want to be able to like root for them. You know what I mean? Like, I don't want to like have like jump scares. Like when an OG comes on the screen, it's like, oh, like what the fuck happened to you? You know what I mean? And like, that's kind of, exactly where I'm at with.
Which is a shame because we had it like in the beginning of All-Stars. Like, I mean, Derek, which I know Derek now he's kind of making back and, he's doing the flagship more, but Derek Kaczynski, he came back and you saw from like the first few All-Stars, he still had it. You saw with Mark Long, who's obviously still in incredible
Nehemiah,
shape.
I think is
Nehemiah
still
coming back. You had Trishelle was there. Katie came back in good shape. Like you had a bunch of those, and it's each All-Stars. We kind of just get further and further from what I think it was supposed to be.
Right.
Yeah.
Like it's cool to see like when people like Nehemiah come back, right? And he still looks good, has fashion, right? Like Tech comes back, has fashion. Like the women that are coming back, you're like, oh, okay, like they still look like just like aged versions of their old selves, like still somewhat in shape, take care of themselves, and all of that. And it's like, yeah, all right, we're not expecting them to do the crazy stuff that they once did, and that's what made it so watchable. But I agree, like we've gotten so far away from the plot where it's like, let's see who we could get to like say yes, and we don't really care what they look like, as if this isn't the entertainment world. Like this is a fucking entertainment world at the end of the day. Like everybody wants to sit here and be like, oh, it's not sports. It's not sports. Yeah, it's entertainment. And like, what is entertainment? Like entertainment is like, we want to be entertained, but we also want to like fucking look at people and be like, okay, they're pretty easy on the eyes.
Yeah. And I think the other part is just like, yes, it's a TV show. Yeah, you're going to have people who give like scripted lines, not naming names, but they're on this season. But it's just like, there are people that I'm like, even when they give scripted lines, they can do it with a little bit of like charisma. That's like, it's a little cute. It's a little fun. Like, do you think Katie brought up the idea of doing Katie's masterclass in her confessionals? No, but it was a little cute. It was a little funny. It was a little self-deprecating. It was like, when she's like, you have Veronica be like, I don't know how we're doing
sense, because like I'm sitting here being like, why the fuck haven't Adam and Steve just absolutely gone off on anybody yet? So like it fit for Katie to be like, hey, you should probably yell at people.
You should probably not be smiling at everyone after they keep throwing you in. And it's funny when then you have Adam be like, oh, I totally get what you mean. It makes a stupid ass face. It's
and then like, after he wins the elimination, he makes that dumb face again. And like that's a funny moment. That's a cute moment. Those are the moments on All-Stars where you're like, all right, this is All-Stars. You know what I mean? Because like, like it's campy. Not about to like pop off at his age, but it's funny.
Exactly. And it's like he's at a different point. It's like he's a dad now. It's like you have to really piss him off. And his most pissed off thing was a confessional last season of going sit and spin, bitch. It's like without that, he was pretty much the same person. Just like, I'm a little aloof. I'm just having a fun time with these people, getting to know them. I want to compete and I want to compete well. If that's the baseline, then you're killing it. But like, it's like when you have the challenge and you have Veronica and Katie going, and Veronica's like, I don't know how, we're not doing well. But then you have Katie in the confessional, like being funny about it and being like, well, here's the masterclass of how you win these dailies or how you throw. My arms are not long. I am not getting anything. I am a whole me away from all of these rants. And I'm like, thank you. That's all I needed. And it made me question, like, why aren't we seeing more Katie? When it's like Katie or Veronica, like, yes, give Veronica the one like strategic like thing for after the daily because she's trying to help Adam. Well, maybe let's see a pattern where you're actually helping Adam. And like, because we are at a point where if how they're throwing people in, the groups that are good with Adam and Steve are still in the game. And they could soon swing these votes to be something else. And that's why I'm like, why, no matter what your like leanings are politically with people or socially, why aren't you throwing Veronica and Katie in? Because that's a vote that can help them in the future. Why aren't you throwing Nicole and Melissa in? Because that's a vote that will help Adam and Steve in the future. It's like, get rid of those people. Why are you getting rid of Anissa and Ashley, who end up both blindsided because you just spent the whole last week and a half being like, we want to be like number ones, number twos with you. Yeah. And then you just throw them in.
It's I don't know. It's I'm a little confused at, like, I understood the first two times around in terms of like who got thrown in and why. This time around, I'm honestly sitting there being like, you know, and I've like vouched for Fessy and Amber the first time around. I vouched for Devin
and Leroy
the first time around. This time around, it's almost like because this is a shorter season and there's not as many people in the game, it's like you really need to cut off some people who weren't politically connected. And if I was Fessy and Amber this time around, it's like, all right, Adam is clearly coming to me looking to have like a number one. All right, Adam and Steve are connected to Nicole and Melissa. And then I would start like working the web at like where they're connected and who they're connected to be like, okay. And then shift over to be like, okay, Devin and Leroy connected to who? Nani, right. Turbo. If that was too risky, I'd be like, okay, but guess who's not connected to any of the people that I'm potentially working with? Frank and Sam, Veronica, and Katie. Now, you know, one can argue, yeah, keep Veronica and Katie there as long as possible because they're terrible, and keep Frank and Sam there as long as possible because they're terrible. But if you're going to throw in Ashley and Anissa, you could also throw in one of those two teams because I would rank all of those teams at equally not going to win at all.
And like my thing is, because he was saying, I don't know how high on my on the priority list I am to Anissa. I'm like, who cares? Is Anissa winning anything? Like Anissa will at least, like, if she thinks that you're solid with her, she'll do what she can to like try to like keep a vote off you. Right? And he's like continuously saying that, like, I know I'm not Devin and Leroy's number one. I know I'm not Nani's number one. So I'm like, so why are you bending over backwards to protect them? Because if you believe that you're as macho as you are and that you can beat anyone here, then prove it. Like put your dick on the table and say, let's go.
Yeah, I don't understand because I feel like they were getting such a good deal from Adam and Steve. And even they said, we don't want to put in Devin and Leroy. Yeah, but even if they said, hey, like if Fessy said, I can't throw in Devin because of, you know, past relationship. Well, then why can't you say, does the same deal still apply if I give you Dario and Ashley K or Nani and Turbo?
Like, I feel like there was a way for him to be like, hey, man, I know you're asking for Devin and Leroy, but I think the three of us all need to stick together because we're the three strongest teams, and everybody's going to be looking at us to like pin each other against each other, like the second that one of us don't win. So like we need to like all try and win and try and help each other win. But yes, I agree with you, Dan. That could have opened up the conversation to be like, well, what about these people? What about this group? Or, you know, like we got to split these people up. So do you want to go
Right.
against them? Would you give us your star then? And try and negotiate? Because the second that all of those teams had their stars, the second that people are going to have to either turn against their friends to vote them in to have them get a star, because it'd be stupid to just keep putting teams against each other that have stars already.
Yeah. And I just think that Ashley and Dario, like it's such who outside of Frank, who we know they're connected, who are they really connected to? Because I mean, let's be honest, Ashley and Dario, they're just pieces of furniture.
Well,
now they are beautiful pieces of furniture.
Yeah.
But like they're just there.
Beautiful.
I just knew the one connection was like Dario with Leroy a bit from like the Vegas days. Because apparently he was in Vegas at the same time that Leroy was in Vegas for a long time. So like it's those random pairings like Leroy and Brandon in season 40
Gotcha.
and like the last All-Stars because like they used to be very close when Leroy lived in Vegas. But like outside that, I'm like, if that's enough for you to be he was my boy 10 years ago in Vegas, then you're stretching thin already. But it also goes to my overall issue of how they handed out the stars. I every episode further, I hate it more. So I'm like, they could have made something out of this. Like we could have done like where first two dailies go by and you go like winner of the daily gets a star, winner at elimination gets a star. And by the end of the first two episodes, you have your 4-star holders. And then you go into this setup of like, now you only can get a vote or you can only get a star by going into elimination. But keep the All-Stars 4 method of like, but you can go against anyone. And then you can just steal someone's star or whatever. Like, it's not fair, but I'm like, who cares? It would be a little more exciting TV instead of just being like, you have to have someone with a star down there in order to get a star.
It's exciting TV when a bunch of good teams are there, so you never know who's going to win. And not when 90% of the house is considered a fucking weak team, so they have to all band together and do that. Like, that's why I can't watch fucking Survivor now. Like, I hate seeing all of the losers, like, fucking band together as soon as, like, the merger bullshit happens and it's like, yeah, we got to vote out these strong fucking players. I hate it. And now all of a sudden I'm watching a season of The Challenge where a bunch of weak players are sitting there being like, we got to band together to take out the fucking strong players. And like, it's so like, dude, like, I'm so fucking sorry, man. But like the temperature of the challenge world has fucking shifted. This participation trophy bullshit is over. This, like, a bunch of fucking losers banding together to go after, like, the good teams is fucking over. And if I got to see fucking Tina or Rachel tweet one more fucking time about shit that they wouldn't or wouldn't fucking do on this season, like, shut the fuck up. Rachel, you just, like, you're the poster child of participation trophies right now. You are the poster child of not making any fucking strong moves on season 40. Like, yeah, you won some eliminations, and you should have just fucking rode that out because, like, you just keep opening your mouth now, and you look like a fucking idiot. Tina also looks like an idiot. I have no idea why she's going after Frank right now. There's absolutely no reason.
Well, according to her, it's just that she has a bunch of haters. But like, when you're the constant,
who has a bunch of haters? Tina.
Tina, that you got, that Jordan is the one who started it and has hate on her. That Frank is the one that started it and hates on her.
The goat of the show is hating on the girl who hasn't fucking been back in for fucking ever, who just has a loud mouth.
Yeah, I find it interesting that she just is poking at only the strong people.
Well, it's crazy. Yeah, like, dude, if you just want a good rivals partner, like, just
say it.
Say it. And like, the thing is, it's like, I love Rachel as a person in real life. I love Tina as a person in real life, but I'm going to hold them accountable the same way I would hold, like, my real friends and my real family members in line if they were looking like fucking fools. And they look like fucking fools. Like, that's it. Period. End of story. Like, I don't really give a shit. Like, not everything deserves a tweet. I could fucking tweet every single fucking week, and I guarantee you people would bite on it. I could tweet every fucking time there's an episode, and I know exactly what to tweet that's going to get a reaction from people, and it will get a reaction from people. But I don't, because you look like a fucking loser.
That's
like
the biggest thing of it is it's nonstop. Her Tina thoughts, like you have way too many thoughts, Tina. Like this is one of the things where it's less is more. That if you want to make that big impact, drop that bomb of a tweet once a week, twice a month, once a month, please, something. But that way, when it hits, okay, that's going to get a reaction, and it'll actually make a bigger ripple effect than if you're just shooting off every stupid thought that comes to your head.
I guarantee that because I've been so quiet on Twitter, if I just like came out with an absolute hot take out of nowhere, and I may do this in like a week or two just to test this theory that I'm speaking about right now. But if I just dropped an absolute hot take of a banger, guarantee you it's getting fucking crazy interactions. And I guarantee you every single person and their mother that's on All-Stars, 5? That's on All-Stars 5 right now is going to fucking comment on it. And I guarantee that every person that's not on All-Stars 5 is going to comment on it. And yeah, I may just do that for entertainment purposes because I'm fucking bored. And sometimes you got to remind people how to fucking do something on Twitter. You know what I mean? Like, I don't really got to say much. Put something out there and it's on the fucking T pages. You know what I mean? Like some of these assholes, it's like they live to be put on the T pages or be talked about on Reddit. And it's like, I don't think you guys understand that the T pages and Reddit, the producers don't look at those fucking places. That makes up like 0.001% of the people who watch this fucking show. The producers do not take any merit to that shit. So you just look like a fool.
Yeah.
It's
we all needed a good healthy rant right there. Going back.
All right, so let's talk about Sam.
No, but like no, but like
Alex.
no, because I feel everything you said is what I feel.
There.
I was like, hey, it's healthy. You gotta release that energy.
I love it.
But
I haven't had Zyn in fucking 24 hours.
But that's why like some of the things also would annoy me, where it's like Steve and Adam like volunteered themselves in, and like initially my instinct is always gonna be like, you fuckers, why are you just putting yourselves there? Why aren't you just giving any names? But then I hate when you get like people like Nani who are part of this big social group that are making this happen, be like, I was so shocked and like honestly a little disgusted that like Adam and Steve just like volunteered themselves, and them be like, well, you guys have to just keep fighting a different way. I'm like, to who? It's been a unanimous vote for 3 rounds. Their own alliance members are voting them in. It's like, what type of fight do you expect them to have outside what they do, where it's like, well, we are going in. We are at least going to say, hey, give us this strong team, and we will try to take them out for you. And it just hasn't been listened to. It's like, that's their only play at the moment because they're not the best political like players, but they are showing that they're good physical players in this setup. So it's like,
I think the issue that you have here is outside of like a Devin and then even somewhat of Anissa, but she's done a million seasons, is almost all of this cast, they're not in the mix enough that they don't, like most of them, they don't know if they'll be back again or how long it'll be before they get called again. And they're just stuck in this mindset of the best way to make sure I get a call back is to be there the longest, when that's idiotic, because we all know it's make the most of your time there, make waves. That's how you guarantee a callback. But I think some of them just play so scared of, they want the stipend for as long as possible and thinking, well, if I make it to the final, I'm guaranteed to get a callback for the next season.
Right. And
I hate it.
I hate it. And that really brings us to our last discussion for this is because we've somehow been remiss to talk about her for the past 30 minutes, and that's Ashley. Let's start with the phone call.
Love fucking Ashley. The phone call. Oh my god, dude.
The boyfriend gets on, being like, dude, I love you, I miss you so much. Here's everything I hate right now, and if you use my credit card, you're cut off.
No, it's just like the best is she's ranting. And he's just like, well, I love you, baby. She's like, I don't even fucking care if you love me. Like, fucking. And I'm like, yo, this is fucking hilarious, dude. Like, here's the thing. This is how fickle the challenge fucking fandom is, because like, I love Ashley to death. That's toxic as fuck. She is a toxic fucking girlfriend. I would never date somebody like Ashley. But that is like viewed as like fucking queen behavior. But I mean, let's just pick somebody. Like, imagine Zach having a meltdown like that on Jenna at fucking ripped to shreds, called every fucking name in the book and shit like that. But Ashley, for better or for worse, what a fucking entertaining character. Like, for whatever reason, she could fucking be the most toxic human in the world. And I'm like, I'm still going to laugh at this because it's fucking great.
It's just like, it's an unfilteredness, I think, that I appreciate of it.
Yeah.
It's like, she literally can't hide what she wants to say. And I love that she's just like going off on the boyfriend about everything that's happening. She's going off in confessional about everything that's happening. Like, she's leaving the season going like where everyone else is like, oh, we become like friends of our rival. She's like, I hate Anissa. Anissa's friends screwed her over time and time again, and she doesn't realize that her friends aren't even her fucking friends. And that's the last thing she says. I'm like, damn.
She's really an enigma because for the fact that it thinks like whenever they're flustered, everything just lets loose and she lets it fly. So for someone that's their natural state to then also be like, oh shit, she's also a 2-time champ to like keep her shit under pressure. It's just, what a woman.
She is an anomaly just for those reasons. It's like, for somebody whose coping mechanism to stress is to absolutely lose their fucking shit on everybody, to basically like put themselves in a hole of like, how are you going to get out of this? But at the same time, it's like, wait, this person's won twice. She's almost like Eli Manning. Yeah. It's almost like Eli Manning. It's like Eli Manning has 2 wins, but you're like, how the fuck did he get there? You know what I mean? Because he's at like just train wreck seasons, you know, and like he's got 2 Super Bowl wins, but like, is he a Hall of Famer? Probably not, you know.
But that really is Ashley's story. Like, she wins or she flames out really early. Dude. It's just when it goes well, it goes really well.
Yeah.
Yeah. Now, here's tinfoil hat time for y'all boys. Let's. I know we have our hats on. Let's pretend there's some tinfoil on them.
Got it.
Do you think she threw away those goggles to make sure that she lost? Like, she like got like, as soon as it was even Fessy that puts her down there, that she's like, oh, Anissa's friends aren't even going to protect her. I'm fucking done with this shit, and I want to leave Vietnam now.
I don't know. I honestly think that that's part of Ashley's anomaly, where you're just kind of like, she's an idiot. How the hell has she won 2 times? Because it's like sometimes she's Rain Man and sometimes like she's actually an idiot. And I think this is just like one of those moments where she's like, I could probably do better in this seeing where water is coming from elimination without goggles on.
I'm just gonna be perfect. That Steve is never gonna. Or no, it's Adam. Oh, which again, another funny Steve line of pretty much saying "whip it in her face" and it'll cause her to.
Great.
That's what I was gonna say. Is it's maybe it's not even just that. It's just Adam's dating Avery now. Like, the man just knows how to whip a hose.
Dude, the guy just has his aim on point now, dude. I mean, honestly, like, with the water splashing and everything, he might have not been able to tell the difference. I mean, between Ashley and Avery's titties, they're kind of very similar. If you're looking from certain angles, and there's water splashing everywhere and you're just seeing tits, he must have felt like he was right at home.
Yeah, it's that guy who's gotten to that point of his life where it was like, you have like Anissa and even Steve being like, oh, just aim for the corners, like try to get clean hits. And I was like, I'm just spraying everywhere. I'm just spraying it everywhere, and we'll see where it lands.
So next thing I know, I'm just blasting my way out of there.
Yeah. Hey, and he left a huge load at the end of that round. So,
I mean, they definitely won by a significant margin.
Yeah, and sort of like, I think that was the other part that pissed me off this episode was they still, because it was on fucking MTV, they still had to do the commercial break right as like round 3 was starting when they came back, and it was 2 seconds later, like, and 3, 2, 1. Yep.
It's
Adam
over.
Steve won. I'm like, no, just end it, then go to commercial. Like at this point, like it's not a shock, it's not a surprise. The only way it would have been surprised if then you get like a 2-minute Ashley tirade on the sand and see what happens.
I'm actually surprised that she didn't have a fucking tirade on the sand because that's what I was expecting as soon as it ended. I thought she was gonna curse everybody out, but maybe she was just like so happy that she's no longer got to be with Anissa anymore.
And it would have been great because there's no way Ashley knows half the cast names. Like half of them she's just pointing at or describing them in some other way. Like, does Ashley know Sam's name or Ashley K? Not a shot.
No, she definitely does not know the person with her own name for sure. Like, but it would have been so perfect to have that West moment. Well, instead of saying you're cool, just like literally going fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, fuck you, that just like everybody, even into TJ, like going to TJ, be like fuck you, TJ.
Yeah, fuck you, TJ. You parted me with Anissa, you dickhead. And then like TJ's just like, what? I didn't even fucking do that.
And honestly, he would have just laughed.
Yeah.
And said, "I'll see you next season." But yeah, it's just like. We lose Ashley now, which sort of stinks because she was one of the last few people that were actually bringing some like actual rival energy into the season. There's all this stuff saying like, oh, well, the arguments are going to come. We'll see. We always hear about the arguments in the preseason that happened and they don't come to light on the show. So fingers crossed that they actually decide to show some fights and actually show some authenticity for these edits so that we can be entertained. Because at the moment, outside of some things here and there, they are missing the mark. What fights have been
rumored to happen that haven't been shown, or what fights are coming down the pipe? Like, I'm this is another thing that I'm sick about seeing on Twitter is people being like, "Oh yeah, all right, they teased at the Devin and Dario argument next week, great," but I keep seeing people being like, "Just wait. It's about to pop off." It's like, how many episodes are gonna go by where it's like it's about to pop off?
Shut up. And like the thing is, they showed us the full argument for real, or like the part of the argument that will even matter for like Dario and Devin in the preview.
But that's why I'm worried about the Devin and Dario argument because we were teased from the preseason trailer and then coming the Ashley and Anissa argument, and then when you actually saw it in the episode. Like what they did in the preview was way better than what it actually was.
Yeah. Also, like, where's all this stuff from the previews about like with all the Nani and Turbo fights that they kept showing during the premiere of like things to come? And I'm like, they're not even on the screen. They're being totally docile right now. Be like, yep. Turbo's like Nani is my partner,
like,
and I'm
regarding
Nani.
The way that they edit things now, where it's almost like the teams that are about to go home, they get an episode where you start to see things unraveling a little bit, and then you have their elimination episode. Like, it is so fucking obvious.
Mm-hmm.
It's so obvious.
Yeah. And, I see a lot of podcasts out there. They're saying, like, oh, well, Adam and Steve. Oh,
Dario and fucking Devin are hinted at, arguing next episode. Okay, well, I can almost guarantee that means either Dario and Ashley K or Devin and Leroy are fucking going home.
That's what my guess will be, which is great for us as the Handjob Steve fan club because I've been hearing some podcasts out there that have been saying, Steve and Adam are on like they know that they're on borrowed time. I have a different theory. My tinfoil hat is still on from the Ashley of it all. I think they showed the Steve thing for a reason. I think they showed him saying, all I'm thinking about is that one screw up in the final for a reason.
I mean, listen, the editors definitely aren't fucking subtle. I'll tell you that.
Exactly. Like I'm saying, I was able to read the tea leaves during 40 when it happened. I'm reading the tea leaves now.
Do you think that the interns are like the ones putting together the storyline? I'm just curious.
Do you think it's because they're used? I'm assuming they were using similar people
that there's no storyline that is like, let's keep this season a mystery.
Yeah, Maybe there was a reason why they waited so long
with
before.
Shit in that might throw the fucking viewers off, like when they see a moment happen in the episode. Like, I would love to see two people fucking arguing and then neither of them go home, and it's like, wait, hold on a fucking second. Like, this team just out of nowhere was the team that went into elimination and went home. Oh shit, I can't wait to see these other two people continue arguing.
Well, especially because that's what you'd wanted if you were just to say, like, we haven't seen much, but if it was like Adam and Frank going after each other because they're arguing, that doesn't mean that one of them has to go home. If that's a season-long rivalry that keeps building and building, that's what we want. That's what makes it more entertaining.
That's what I'm saying. Like, that's what you had with me and Kyle on War of the Worlds 1. That's what you had with me and Jordan on fucking War of the Worlds 2. And look at the fucking chaos that was happening. You know what I mean?
Right. It's like, yeah, it's like, and part of that's also like, there's clear sides. There is not, like, in a season like this, it's almost impossible to have clear sides because everyone just comes in being like, well, group mentality, essentially, of like, as long as it's not me getting thrown in because we're too scared to get a star now. And at a certain point, you have to be like, well, if I'm thinking like this, everyone else is fucking thinking like this too. Like, if everyone is waiting for a star, well, hell, I'm just gonna go and grab it then. Like, yeah, I just want to see some people like act a little individually instead of just being like, well, the alliance is all saying we should hold off right now. But the editors aren't showing us that either. So it's me reading just context clues of like, it's not our time yet. We have to keep holding out. We need to see one of these teams go home and then we can start attacking everything. Like,
I'm just hoping, I don't know if it's because how they're editing the show or if they really are playing a sleep house cat, but I'm hoping now, like, Devon and Shane, we know you have it in you. We know you are both like drama entertainment gold. I don't need you to dial it all the way up to 100. Start to warm up. Give me something.
I don't know,
because if it wasn't for the fact that people were so excited that the two of them were coming back, you'd forget they were on the season 4 episodes in.
Crazy.
Absolutely
crazy.
Hopefully they're like one of those teams on the seasons that we've seen now where it's like they were invisible in the first half, but then they come a little more alive because like they're a team that makes the final at least or something along those lines. And then things start kicking up because like I don't think the 4-star holders that we have right now are going to be the teams that make it to the final. Like there's going to be something that needs to happen or will happen that then pushes some of these invisible teams into the spotlight because you're gonna have to if you want to go and grab the star, then you have to get into the edit as well. But yeah, with your intern thing, I almost think it's like a skeleton crew. I think it's like you have your big production for season 40 or just the main show, and then they're like, well, who wants to stay in Vietnam for an extra 4 weeks? Yeah, and the people who decided to stay stayed. Yeah. But we'll be here next week talking about episode 5, and hopefully the fight's actually entertaining and something changes in this edit.
Just want a good episode.
Fingers crossed, but at least Handjob Steve is still fucking thriving.
Hell yeah, he is.
Yep, there's constants in this world. Handjob Steve, thriving, winning eliminations, weird editing choices, and Tina will pop off the next day with 20 tweets and half of them being towards Frank passive aggressively. Those are your constants in life, folks.
Hashtag Tina's thoughts.
Hashtag Tina's thoughts.
Yeah, that's I think we don't need any Tina's thoughts anymore, but that's going to do it for us. We're going to wrap it up this week. We will be back next week discussing episode 5. If you're watching on YouTube, make sure you hit the bell, subscribe. That way you get notified every time we go live. We have tons of stuff going on at Reality After Show Network. Not only all of our challenge coverage, but Johnny's been a busy man. He's covering Traders. He's covering Deal or No Deal Island. And now that Australian Survivor's back, we have coverage of that as well.
And Survivor starts next week.
That is true. And Survivor Season 48 starts next week. So there have tons of podcasts going on here at Reality After Show Network. If you're listening on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever you get your podcasts at, please take a few seconds, rate and review, give us 5 stars. It helps us out tremendously. Just let us know how big of, you're in it with us for Handjob Steve. That's all we want. We just want the support. And then, as always, the best way to support the podcast is become a patron at realitypatron.com. Sign up for a month. If you don't like it, Fairplay will give you your money back. That'll do it for us, and we will see you next week for episode 5.
Episode 5.